You know what amazes me most about success? It's not as far away as most folks think. The distance between where you are and where you want to be is often just one simple decision away. And today I want to talk about one of those decisions that has the power to completely transform your life. The decision to invest just 1 hour a day in yourself. Now, I'm not talking about anything complicated. I'm talking about setting aside 60 minutes, just 4% of your day, to work on becoming the person you want to be. That's it. 1 hour, but used correctly. It's one of the most powerful tools for personal change ever discussed. I remember meeting a young man years ago. He was 31 years old, making about $14,000, 0 cents a year, struggling to make ends meet. He asked me what he could do to change his situation. I told him, set aside 1 hour every day to work on yourself. He looked at me like I was crazy. That's it, he asked. That's it. I said 3 years later, that same young man was making $100, 0 cents a year. The difference, he took that 1 hour. Seriously, what you do with an hour might seem small today, but what it becomes over time is the difference between an extraordinary life and an ordinary one. The question isn't whether you have an hour. Everyone has the same 24 hours. The question is what you'll do with that hour that others want. Let me show you some simple arithmetic that changed my perspective forever. 1 hour a day is 365 hours per year. That's more than 940-hour work weeks devoted entirely to your improvement. Imagine what would happen if you gave your employer 9 extra weeks of work this year. Do you think they'd notice? Of course they would. But here's the thing about investing that hour in yourself. The payoff is even greater if you spend 1 hour a day reading good books. That's about a book a week. In 5 years, you've read 250 books. You think reading 250 books might change your life? You better believe it will. 1 hour a day practicing musical instrument. 1 hour a day writing. 1 hour a day learning about investing. 1 hour a day exercising. The results don't show up immediately, and that's why most people quit. But the compound effect of those hours is staggering. It reminds me of the story of the king and the chessboard. When the inventor of chess showed his creation to the ruler of the country, the king was so impressed. He offered the inventor any reward. The man requested 1 grain of rice for the first square of the chessboard, 2 for the second, 4 for the third, and so on, doubling the grains each time. The king readily agreed, thinking the man was a fool for asking for such a small reward. But by the time they were halfway through the chessboard, the amount of rice would have been bigger than a mountain. The compound effect is just that powerful. Your 1 hour works the same way. The first week you hardly notice a difference. By the end of the month, there might be small changes. After 6 months, people will start asking what's different about you. And after a few years, your life will be unrecognizable. But here's what you must understand. Success is not like a lottery ticket, where you put in minimal effort and hope for a windfall. Success is more like a farm. You plant in the spring, cultivate in the summer, harvest in the fall, and rest in the winter. There are seasons to everything, but you must never stop tending your crop. The mathematics of personal development aren't complicated. Small efforts, consistently made, create massive results over time. You know what the biggest obstacle is for most folks? It's not that they don't have an hour. It is that they don't value what an hour can do. People tell me all the time, I'm just so busy. And I always ask them, busy doing what? When we examine how most people spend their time, we find plenty of hours for television, social media, and other activities that don't contribute to growth. The average American watches over 4 hours of television daily. 4 hours. And then there's the someday trap. Someday I'll get started on my goal. Someday I'll write that book. Someday I'll start that business. But here's the truth. Someday isn't a day of the week. It's not on any calendar I've ever seen. There's only today, and what you do today shapes all your tomorrows. Some people say, well, 1 hour won't make much difference. It's like saying one brick won't build a wall. True enough, but walls aren't built with one brick. They're built one brick at a time, day after day. Success works the same way. Others claim they lack motivation, but motivation isn't something you wait for. It's something you create through action. You don't get motivated and then start. You start and then get motivated. That first step creates momentum, and momentum creates motivation. There's also a fundamental misunderstanding about what creates success. Many believe success comes from one monumental effort, working 18-hour days until you collapse. But sustainable success isn't built that way. It's built through consistent, manageable daily actions that don't burn you out. 1 solid hour beats 5 scattered, exhausted hours every time. And finally, there's the perfectionist problem. I need the perfect plan before I begin, but no plan is perfect from the start. Plans improve with execution. Better to start with an imperfect plan today than to wait for the perfect plan that never comes. What keeps most people from using their hour effectively isn't external circumstances, it's their own thinking. Change your thinking about what can be accomplished in an hour, and you'll change your life. Now let's talk about where that 1 hour creates the biggest changes in your life. Because not all hours are created equal, and hours spent in certain activities yields far greater returns than others. First, reading and study. Reading isn't just entertainment. It's a direct link to the best minds in human history. When you read a good book, you're having a conversation with its author. They're sharing their lifetime of knowledge with you in just a few hours. This is why I've always said, formal education will make you a living, self-education will make you a fortune. Start with books on personal development, philosophy, history, and your specific field. 1 hour of reading each day means about 25 pages. That's a book a week, 50 books a year. The person who reads 50 books a year on their industry becomes an expert very quickly. Next is physical health. Health isn't everything, but without health, everything else becomes harder. 1 hour of physical activity daily isn't just good for your body, it's essential for your mind. Exercise increases blood flow to the brain, reduces stress, and improves mood and cognitive function. Many of my best ideas came during or right after exercise. The hour doesn't need to be intense. Walking, light weights, yoga, consistency matters more than intensity. The goal is to make movement a non-negotiable part of your day. Third is skills development. Whatever your profession, there are specific skills that directly impact your value in the marketplace. Identify those skills and spend your hour mastering them. If you are in sales, practice your pitch. If you are a writer, write. If you're in management, study leadership. Don't just think about these skills, actively practice them. The difference between good and great is often just a matter of deliberate practice. Fourth is financial education. Most people spend more time planning a vacation than planning their financial future. 1 hour daily learning about investing, business, or money management will put you ahead of 95% of the population. Start with understanding cash flow, debt reduction, and simple investment vehicles, then move to more complex strategy. Financial intelligence isn't about getting rich quick, it's about making your money work for you over time. And finally, relationships are invested in meaningful connections with family, friends, or professional contacts pays enormous dividends. Make calls to potential clients, have coffee with a mentor, play with your children, write a note to someone who made a difference in your life. Relationships aren't built through occasional grand gestures. They're built through regular, meaningful interactions. And these connections often lead to opportunities no amount of technical skill can provide. The beauty of the 1 hour approach is that you don't have to tackle all these areas at once. You might focus on reading for a month, then shift to skill development. Or you might divide your weekly hours among different priorities. The key is strategic focus rather than scattered effort. Remember this. Where you will be 5 years from now depends on 2 things. The books you read and the people you associate with your 1 hour daily can improve both. Now let's talk about the factor that determines whether your 1 hour will actually change your life. Discipline. Discipline isn't complicated, but it isn't easy either. Discipline means doing what needs to be done, when it needs to be done, whether you feel like it or not. Most people do what they feel like doing. Successful people do what they need to do, regardless of feelings. The first few days of your 1 hour commitment will probably feel exciting. You're energized by the possibility. But around day 10 or 11, that excitement fades. This is where the rubber meets the road. This is where you discover if you're serious about change. I've found that it takes about 30 days for a new habit to start feeling natural. Those first 30 days require the most attention and willpower. After that, the habit starts to take on a life of its own. It becomes part of your identity. You move from, "I'm trying to read every day," to, "I'm a reader." That shift makes all the difference. To build that discipline, start with a clear why. Why is this 1 hour important to you? Connect it to your deepest values and biggest goals. When the why is strong enough, the how takes care of itself. Next, create accountability. Tell someone about your commitment. Report your progress daily. Consider finding a partner with similar goals. It's harder to skip your hour when someone is expecting to hear how you used it. Use what I call the bookend method for your day. How you start your morning and end your evening directly impacts your discipline. Create morning and evening routines that reinforce your commitment to that 1 hour. And perhaps most importantly, forgive yourself. When you miss a day, perfection isn't the goal. Consistency is. If you miss a day, never miss 2 in a row. That's the rule that keeps temporary setbacks from becoming permanent. Failures remember, the discipline creates freedom. It might seem contradictory, but it's true. The person who exercises discipline over their finances gains financial freedom. The person who exercises discipline over their health gains energy and vitality. Short-term discipline leads to long-term liberty. I've met thousands of successful people over my career. Some were naturally talented. Others had advantages of education or connections. But the one trait they all shared was discipline. They did what others weren't willing to do, so they could have what others would never have. And it all starts with that 1 hour, guarded, protected, and used with discipline. Let's get practical. How exactly do you ensure that your 1 hour happens every day, regardless of circumstances? First, decide when that hour will occur. For most people, early morning works best. The world is quiet, your willpower is at its peak, and nothing has yet arisen to derail your plan. As the day progresses, unexpected demands increase. That's why I've always been a proponent of early rising. The quiet hours of the morning can be worth double or triple the value of hours later in the day. You're truly not a morning person. The evening can work too. The key is consistency. Pick a time and stick to it until it becomes automatic. Your mind and body will start preparing for that hour even before it begins. Next, make an appointment with yourself. Don't just intend to find an hour sometime today. Schedule it like you would any important meeting. Write it down. Set reminders. Treat this appointment with the same respect you would give to a meeting with an important client or your doctor. Create the right environment. Have everything you need ready beforehand. If your hour is for reading, have your book, notepad, and pen waiting. If it's for exercise, lay out your clothes the night before. Eliminate potential excuses before they arrive. Minimize distractions. Turn off notifications. Let family members know this is your time. Create a physical space that signals to your brain that serious work happens here. For many people, this might mean leaving the house, going to a library, a quiet cafe, or even sitting in your car. If necessary, use the power of preparation. The 5 minutes you spend preparing for your hour can double its effectiveness. Review what you accomplished yesterday. Set clear objectives for today's session. This creates continuity and momentum. Break your hour into smaller segments if needed. 20 minutes of reading, 20 minutes of planning, 20 minutes of practice, or focus the entire hour on one activity. Both approaches work. Depending on your goals, track your progress. Keep a simple journal of how you use your hour and what you accomplish over time. This becomes a powerful motivator as you see the accumulation of your effort. And finally, celebrate small wins. Completion of a week, finish of a book, mastery of a skill. These celebrations reinforce the habit and remind you that your efforts are paying off. Remember that simplicity is key. Don't overcomplicate your system. The best methods are those you'll actually follow. Start basic and refine as you go. What kind of results can you reasonably expect from your 1-hour investment? Let me be clear about the timeline of transformation. In the first 30 days, the primary change will be internal. You'll develop greater self-respect and confidence from keeping promises to yourself. You might see small improvements in knowledge or skills, but the biggest win is establishing the habit itself. This is crucial because most people quit before this first milestone. They expect visible external results immediately, and when those don't materialize, they conclude the method doesn't work. But the foundation must be laid before the house can be built. By 90 days, others will begin noticing differences. Your vocabulary will expand if you've been reading. Your energy will increase if you've been exercising. Your network will grow if you've been connecting. These external validations make continuing much easier. After 6 months, you'll start seeing compound effects. Your knowledge won't just increase incrementally, it will combine in new ways, creating insights you couldn't have had before. Skills begin to feel natural rather than force. New opportunities appear because you've prepared yourself to recognize and seize them. The 1-year mark is where truly remarkable changes happen. Looking back, you'll hardly recognize the person you were when you began. A daily hour of language learning means you can now hold conversations in a new tone. A daily hour of writing means you produced enough material for a book. A daily hour of financial education means you're making investment decisions with confidence. But here's what's interesting. The external results, impressive as they may be, often become secondary to the internal transformation. You become a person who finishes what they start, a person with confidence in their ability to learn and grow, a person who understands that remarkable achievement comes from remarkable habits. And there's something else few people talk about. The compound effect continues to accelerate. Your second year of dedicated hours yields more than your first. Your fifth, more than your fourth. As your knowledge base grows, new information connects more meaningfully. As your skills improve, you learn advanced techniques more quickly. This is the difference between linear and exponential growth. Most people think progress should be steady and predictable, the same amount each day or week, but real growth is exponential. Starting slowly, then accelerating dramatically. Don't be discouraged by slow starts. That's the natural order of achievement. The question isn't whether the 1-hour strategy works. It absolutely does. The question is whether you'll give it enough time to work its magic in your life. Now let's be honest about something. Life will try to steal your hour. It's not a matter of if, but when. Knowing this in advance is half the battle. You'll face external interruptions, phone calls, family needs, work, emergencies. The world doesn't stop because you've made a commitment to yourself. Plan for these interruptions rather than hoping they won't occur. Have contingency plans. If your morning hour gets derailed, where can you find another hour later? If your usual location is unavailable, where's your backup spot? If your planned activity isn't possible today, what alternative will still move you toward your goals? You'll also face internal resistance days when motivation disappears, when doubts creep in, when the voice in your head says, "What's the point?" or "One day won't matter." These internal challenges are often harder than external ones on these days. Fall back on your systems rather than relying on motivation. Remember that professionals stick to their schedules. Amateurs let feelings dictate their actions. This doesn't mean ignoring your emotions. It means not letting them make your decisions. There will be days when life legitimately prevents your hour from happening. Don't let this become an excuse to abandon your commitment entirely. Missing one day is an incident missing. Two is the start of a pattern. Never miss twice in a row. When you do miss a day, avoid the temptation to double up the next day. 2 hours tomorrow doesn't fix a missed hour. Today, it often leads to burnout and more missed days. Simply resume your normal schedule. Sometimes the challenge isn't finding the hour, but using it effectively. You sit down to read, but your mind wanders. You begin to exercise, but you go through the motions without focus. When this happens, try changing your environment, breaking your hour into smaller chunks, or switching to a different but related activity. And finally, watch for warning signs that you're heading toward burnout, irritability, fatigue, dreading your hour rather than looking forward to it. These indicators suggest you might need to change your approach, or even take a strategic rest. Sometimes a deliberate 2-day break can prevent a 2-month abandonment. The path to extraordinary achievement isn't about avoiding challenges, it's about anticipating and overcoming them. Each obstacle you push through builds not just the specific skill you're working on, but also your overall capacity for growth. It's time to get specific about your 1-hour plan. General commitments produce general results. Specific commitments produce specific results. Start by identifying the area that would create the greatest positive impact in your life right now. Is it health, relationships, career skills, financial education? Choose just one to begin with. You can expand later, but excellence comes from focused effort. Next, define what success looks like in measurable terms. Oops, don't say I want to be healthier. Say I want to be able to run 3 miles without stopping. Or I want to reduce my blood pressure by 10 points. Specific targets. Create clear paths, then break down the skills or knowledge required to reach that target. What do you need to learn? What abilities must you develop? What habits must you establish? This becomes your curriculum for the coming weeks and months. Now create your specific daily action plan. Will you read for 30 minutes and practice for 30? Will you study entirely new material or review what you've already learned? Will you work alone or with others? The more specific your plan, the easier it is to follow. Put everything in writing, a plan, not written as merely a wish. Writing crystallizes thought and creates commitment. Post your plan where you'll see it daily, as a reminder of your promise to yourself. Share your commitment with at least one person who will support your growth. Tell them specifically how they can help you stay accountable. Maybe it's a weekly check-in call or a daily text. And finally, decide how you'll track and measure your progress. Will you keep a journal, use an app, create a chart? The method matters less than the consistency of recording. Your plan will evolve as you learn what works best for you. That's not just acceptable, it's desirable. The best plans. Incorporate feedback and adjust accordingly. The decision is now in your hands. Will you join the small percentage of people who turn knowledge into action, who convert good intentions into daily habits, who transform dreams into reality through consistent effort, 1 hour a day? That's all it takes to begin the transformation. Not someday, but today. Not when conditions are perfect, but right now in the midst of your busy, imperfect life. Remember that in 5 years, you'll arrive somewhere. The only question is whether you'll arrive there by design or by default. Your daily hour is your declaration that you choose. Design over default, growth over stagnation, extraordinary over ordinance. Make the decision now. Guard your hour jealously and watch as day by day your life transforms before your eyes. I've seen it happen countless times. The shy person who spent 1 hour a day on communication skills becomes a confident speaker. The broke person who spent 1 hour a day studying money becomes financially secure. The unhealthy person who spent 1 hour a day moving their body becomes vibrant and strong. What about the excuses? They'll always be there. I'm too busy. So is everyone else who's achieving great things. I'm too tired. Start with small steps that energize rather than exhaust. I'm too old. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is today. And what if you miss days? You will. Life happens. Cars break down. Children get sick. Emergencies arise. The difference between success and failure isn't perfection. It's persistence. It's getting back up. It's restarting. It's refusing to let temporary setbacks become permanent ones. Think about the cost of not investing this hour. 5 years from now, what will you wish you had started today? What skills will you wish you had developed? What knowledge will you wish you had acquired? The price of neglect is always higher than the price of discipline. I often think about two paths we can walk. The path of least resistance leads to mediocrity, regret, and what if. The path of growth leads to achievement, fulfillment, and pride in a life well lived. Both paths require the same amount of time, 24 hours each day. The difference is how those hours are invested. Some say success is complicated. It's not. It's simple, but it's not easy. The principles that govern achievement haven't changed in thousands of years. Work consistency, patience, discipline. The people who apply these principles reap the rewards that others only dream about. I challenge you today to make your hour non-negotiable. Put it at the top of your priority list, not the bottom. Protect it like the valuable asset it is. Treat it with the same seriousness you'd give to an appointment with someone you deeply respect, because that's exactly what it is. An appointment with your future self. Your 1 hour won't just change what you have, it will change who you are. And who you are will determine the quality of your entire life. Your new life is waiting, 1 hour at a time.